Look at your face in a mirror for 1 second. Not your hair, not your eyes, but the small shape in the middle. Your nose.
You probably think of it as personal.
Maybe ordinary, maybe something you like or dislike. But what if that is too small a story? What if your nose is not just a feature, but a tiny survival tool shaped by ancient air, weather, and migration? This still needs careful verification.
Before mirrors,
Before cities, before medicine, before warm bedrooms, every breath had to pass through this strange little gate on the face. Now remove everything modern. No air conditioner, no mask, no closed apartment, no pharmacy, no hot shower, no clean indoor air. Imagine breathing on an Ice Age steppe, where the air is cold, dry, sharp, and every breath feels like winter entering your chest. Now imagine breathing in a warm, wet forest, where air is heavy, insects hum, leaves drip, and the world feels alive around your face. Then imagine a dusty plain, where a walking group kicks dry earth into the air, and every breath carries grit from the ground. The same human body had to live in many worlds. Cold worlds, hot worlds, wet worlds, dry worlds. And the face came along.
this is the strange part.
Your nose sits in the exact place where the outside world becomes part of your body. Air touches the nose before it touches the lungs. Dust, cold, heat, smoke, and smell all arrive there first. So maybe the nose was never just decoration. Maybe it was one of the first weather machines humans carried everywhere. But be careful. This is not a simple story about one nose shape being better or one group being more adapted.
Human variation is not a ladder.
It is a messy map of ancestry, climate, migration, chance, and deep time. To understand why your nose may be older than you think, we must follow a single breath back into prehistory. Take one quiet breath through your nose. It feels simple because your body does the work before you notice anything happening. Inside the nose, air does not just rush straight down like wind through an empty pipe. It twists, slows, warms, and changes. The nasal cavity helps prepare air before it reaches deeper parts of the respiratory system. It can warm, humidify, and filter inspired air. That matters because lungs are delicate. They do not want freezing air, dry air, dirty air, or rough particles arriving unprepared. In the modern world, walls and machines help protect every breath. In prehistory, the first protection was built into the body. Think of an ancient person waking before sunrise. The fire is low, frost sits on the ground, and each breath turns white. The nose is the first place that cold air meets warm blood, moist tissue, and narrow passages designed to change the breath. In dry air, moisture matters. In cold air, warmth matters. In dusty air, filtering matters. Breathing was a survival problem. This does not mean one shape solved everything. Evolution rarely works like a perfect engineer drawing one clean design. It works more like a long argument between bodies, landscapes, ancestors, random chance, and the simple question, who leaves descendants? Some noses are narrower, some are wider, some have higher bridges, different nostril shapes, different internal passages, different histories. But the outside shape is only part of the story. Much of the real work happens inside, where air touches living tissue. That is why a nose can look like a small face detail, while secretly being part of breathing, smell, temperature, and defense. Ancient humans did not need to understand anatomy for their bodies to face pressure from climate, movement, smoke, dust, and cold. Every day, without knowing it, they carried a breathing tool in the middle of their faces into the next landscape. Now picture small groups moving across landscapes over thousands of years. Not one heroic journey, but countless ordinary walks across changing weather. Some groups lived where air was colder and drier. Others lived where air was warmer, wetter, dusty, coastal, forested, or seasonal. If breath is constantly shaped by air, then climate becomes more than scenery. It becomes something the body must negotiate. A modern genetics study examined human nose shape and climate, especially nostril width, temperature, and humidity patterns. The details need careful verification. The researchers found nostril width linked with temperature and absolute humidity, suggesting climate may have influenced some aspects of nose shape. But the same research also warned against an easy answer. Climate is not the whole story, and human evolution is complicated. That warning matters because the internet loves simple maps. This nose means this place. This shape means that identity. Reality is messier. People moved. Groups mixed. Ancestors carried traits from older places into newer ones. Bodies remember journeys, not clean borders. A face is not a passport from the Stone Age. It is a layered record written by many pressures at once. Imagine an ancient camp at night. Around the fire, no two faces are exactly alike, yet every person belongs to the same circle. One child has a small nose like one parent. Another has a wider nose like a grandparent. Another looks like no one exactly. Variation was not a problem to solve. It was simply what living populations do as they grow, move, mix, and survive. And still, weather may have left fingerprints on that variation, especially where breathing cold or dry air mattered for many generations. The nose, in this sense, is not a racial symbol. It is a living intersection between biology and environment. Your nose may carry a story, but it does not tell that story alone. It speaks with genes, ancestors, climate, and chance. Here is the myth we have to break. There is no perfect human nose, and there is no primitive human nose. A wider nose is not less advanced. A narrower nose is not more advanced. These are not ranks in a human scoreboard. Human bodies are full of trade-offs. A shape useful in one environment may not matter in another, or may mean something different. Even the idea of useful can be tricky. A trait can spread through selection, drift, ancestry, or reasons we cannot see directly. That is why a good prehistoric story must be careful. It can be mysterious without pretending the mystery has a single answer. Think of a simple cartoon chart that says cold equals narrow, heat equals wide. It feels easy, but it cuts away too much. Real history is a tangled drawing. Arrows of migration, dots of ancestry, clouds of climate, and accidents no one planned. Ancient people were not walking climate diagrams. They were parents, children, hunters, gatherers, tool makers, sleepers, dreamers, and storytellers. Their faces changed through generations, but they did not wake up thinking, "My nose is adapting to absolute humidity." They woke up because a baby cried, because the fire was dying, because the wind shifted, because someone heard something outside camp. Evolution happens silently under ordinary life. It hides inside hunger, illness, birth, distance, weather, and who survives long enough to be remembered. That is what makes the nose so interesting. It is visible, but the forces behind it are mostly invisible. You can see the bridge and nostrils, but you cannot see every winter, every migration, every ancestor, every accident of inheritance. So the honest answer is not, your nose came from one climate. The honest answer is, stranger. Your nose came from many histories. And that makes the mirror more mysterious, not less. Because the face looking back at you is not only yours. Now return to the mirror. Same room, same light, same face. But the small shape in the middle feels different now. It is not just something you inherited from your parents. It may also connect to old landscapes your family no longer remembers. Cold air, dry dust, humid forests, long walks, campfire smoke, children breathing beside sleeping adults, weather entering the body again and again. Of course, your nose does not reveal a simple origin story. It cannot tell you exactly where every ancestor stood, but it can remind you of a deeper truth. The modern body is full of ancient compromises, layered quietly under ordinary skin. Your back remembers walking upright. Your skin remembers sunlight. Your sweat remembers endurance. And perhaps your nose remembers air. That part needs verification.
We like to imagine modern life
Has cut us free from prehistory. But every breath proves the connection is still open.
You inhale through a body
Built before offices, traffic, skyscrapers, and glowing screens. The ancient world did not disappear. It became anatomy.
That is why
This little feature on your face is more than a cosmetic detail. It is a doorway between weather and flesh.
it is where the
Outside world becomes warm enough, wet enough, and safe enough to enter you. And maybe that is the most human thing about the nose. It sits quietly between who you are and where your ancestors survived.
not a label,
Not a ranking, not a simple map. Just a small reminder that every human face is a history. Somewhere, long before mirrors, someone with a face not so different from yours stood in the wind and took another breath.
they did not know your name.
They did not know cities would come. But their survival helped build the face looking back at you.
So the next time you look in the mirror,
Remember this. Your nose is not just yours. It is ancient weather still breathing.